Welcome to A Night in the Asylum. It's Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, as if you didn't know. Time for Talk Tech and Tequila with Darren and Jen. Call in live or leave a message at 855-366-9653 or email dilbert@asylum.radio. It's time to take refuge with your friends, your cocktail and cream puff.
Jen, how are you?
Happy Tuesday, Darren.
Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, March 30th, and we're live tonight. Our number is 855-366-9653. Right, Jen?
It is. I'm
Joe's
so excited for
tonight.
today.
I am too. We've been waiting for this topic for several weeks now.
Yes.
So
Joe is not here, so we have to give him a hard time next time.
We will. So the topic is ayahuasca retreats.
Ayahuasca.
Depression and addiction, all sorts of things that might be possible. So we've got two guests tonight, and that is Andrew and Jenny. Welcome, guys, girls.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hey, guys. And I see you have Pat behind you, too.
Yep, Pat's listening in. He wants to ask a couple questions, potentially. We will see what the topic turns into. So we wanted to hear from both of you because one of you went to a retreat for ayahuasca in Costa Rica called Rhythmia. That's Andrew. And Jenny went to a place and she saw a shaman in the Amazon in Peru. So much different experiences. Right?
I would think it was very different.
Yeah. So who wants to start first about, well, like, why did you decide to go to one of these resorts and what was your experience like?
I can start, I guess. Not a resort, by the way, by any stretch of the imagination. It was a trip that I made when I was going to Peru anyway with a group of friends, and the at the end tail of the trip, and it was always planned because we needed to have a shaman there that we wanted to have experience ayahuasca. But we were deep in the middle of the rainforest. We had to fly from Cusco, from Machu Picchu, from Cusco to about an hour to another town. From there, we took a car. The car took us to a ferry, like not really a ferry, a boat. For a couple.
So you guys
hours.
were on the Amazon River?
It wasn't the Amazon River. I forgot what river it was because it was in the south of the Amazon River. From that, after the first boat ride, we walked for 2 hours, and then we took another boat to take us deep into the rainforest.
How many people were with you when you were going?
4 kids and 2 other adults. So 3 adults and 2 kids. So 7 of us. Not kids, teenagers.
Okay.
So it was definitely not a resort or by any stretch, because this is like the rainforest, so you cannot touch it. Everything that comes there, you cannot break a tree. I mean, there's no electricity, no.
Were there like
no
huts and
budgets,
stuff, or like tents, or what were you in?
Yes, yeah. So we had little huts, and we were dressed from head to toe because we needed to take shots before we get there. Yellow fever, I forgot what other it was that we had to take. But yeah, we were completely covered, and we needed to. And we stayed in little huts. Before getting there, though, our tour guide arranged for a shaman to meet us. So the shaman came, and apparently he walked for 3 days, something like that, to come and see us. And apparently there's only 9 official shamans in the country, and he was one of the 9 that came and meet us. So I'm pretty certain that it's the real deal.
Yeah.
How did you find this place? What made you go there?
So, gosh, there's, I guess, 2 questions. First, why I wanted to do it. Second, how did I find it? I had a local find it for us, and it took a little while to get it. First of all, we wanted to do it in Cusco because I had the bigger group there. It was 11 of us, and they're like, "Oh, we don't want to go to the rainforest." And the locals go, no, this is how you do it. The only way you're going to do it in Peru is in the rainforest. You cannot find ayahuasca anywhere outside, and it's just a sacred plant. We're not going to bring it from the rainforest to another town, another city. So to them, it was almost sacrilegious not to do it there or to do it somewhere else. So we had to do it there.
Okay, so did you go there hoping for some kind of experience, or what were your expectations?
Oh, my expectations. So I at the time, I was just starting a job with a cannabis company, medical cannabis company. And I was looking at this more from the plant medicine perspective. And for me, and I went with two other women that completely, two professional people that they wanted to not to have an experience, but it was more like a cleansing experience per se, more like express therapy, if you can shape it that way, because that's what you hear about. It's like, it could take you years to come to the clarity that you will get from one session of ayahuasca.
Wow.
And that was exactly my experience. And I only had 2 sessions, but apparently you can have many. And I don't know what other people experienced, but mine was not great. The first day, anyways. The second was not. It was a completely different story. But yeah, it was. I mean, I can tell you the story for days. I can go on for days. It was.
Okay, so
Wild. And it's like one of the things. So we went on the trip with Jenny to Peru. Manuel and I did. And as soon as he heard you're gonna puke, he's like, I'm out. Like, he's
wow, I didn't
so
know you were
afraid of
part of that whole
puking.
trip. So you both decided not to go.
Yeah, I was like, I want to go, and he's like, I am not gonna puke for 8 hours or a
And
day.
diarrhea also, I heard that
I don't know.
could be part of
And
it.
I don't think he would stand not sleeping in a real bed. And
Oh yeah,
for
and then
hours.
he needs a bed and a shower and the whole
Yeah,
thing.
he's a diva.
So he needs to go. He needs to go to Costa Rica, I think.
It sounds like he needs to go to
Yeah,
Costa
he needs to
Rica.
go to the resort, not to the real deal.
Yeah,
no.
and I'll go to the Amazon.
So let's go back to Andrew now. Andrew, why did you decide to do this? What were you looking for, and what made you pick Rhythmia?
Hey, how you guys doing? Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Sound good?
Okay. Good afternoon or good evening. My reason for choosing ayahuasca and Rhythmia is, I'm going to say twofold, but I was just getting out of a relationship, first of all. And I always felt like I had a low level of anxiety that just would never leave me. I was not clinically anxious. I was never on any medications. But I just, I could never enjoy even going away on vacation. I just always felt uptight. And it was something that just followed me everywhere I went. And I also knew there was something missing in my life. I didn't know what it was. And going there not only answered the missing parts in my life, it not only allowed me to see myself independent of my ego, but it also, I'm a very spiritual person, and it allowed me to feel what I believe was pure love that I've never felt in my life. When I was there, the only drug I've ever done in my life is Percocet after surgery. And when I was there, after I believe the second night, I was walking around Rhythmia and I felt like I was on Percocet. I'm thinking, okay, they must have spiked this with something. They had to have, because I'm just feeling really, really good. And I'm like, okay, this is going to fade like everything else. But third day, same feeling. Fourth day, same feeling. Came back. We're 4 months after, and I feel like I'm on, right now, just thinking about it, I feel like I'm on Percocet. It is the most profound experience that I think a human can experience, one of the most. And for me, when I chose Rhythmia because I read the reviews. If you go to TripAdvisor, I'm a very analytical person, so I look at reviews and it's like, show me the reviews. 1,350 reviews, and like 1,340 were 5-star. You can't make that up. You can't make up those reviews. But it goes further than that. You start reading them. You start reading what everybody says. And I think one of the only bad reviews was something like that someone couldn't make it and they didn't refund their money in time or something like that. So that was the bad review. It was a financial thing. The place is impeccable. It's made by it was designed by someone who's OCD, which is good because it's clean. He really was. This guy was a heroin addict. He was worth like $100-something million. He was a heroin addict, abused women, abused people. And he went for ayahuasca one night. And this is a guy who had gone to, I think it's called Passageways. I think it's the one in Malibu that they
the famous one they do commercials all the time.
Yeah. He went there for years and nothing was working out. So he goes to Rhythmia. I'm sorry, he made Rhythmia. He goes to ayahuasca one night and then all of a sudden everything changed. Everything.
Where did he go? Did he go to the Amazon?
No, I don't remember where he went. He went somewhere else, but that first night he's like, oh my God. And you know what it is, Darren? You leave the ceremony on the first night and you just start feeling this intense love. You start feeling this love for not only other people, but yourself.
Jenny, was that your experience? I mean, did you feel the same, similar?
Definitely not.
No love.
No, it's not. And again, like any plant medicine, I'm not, Andrew is completely legit that he felt that way and other people could feel that way. It affects people because at the end it's a chemical reaction, right, with your body and your mind. So we all react differently. So absolutely, we had different experiences.
But you had a positive experience also, right?
Yeah, it was positive. Not like Andrew's, but it was positive in a different way. For me, it was very therapeutic. I never, similar to you, Andrew, I'm one of those people that don't even take Tylenol. I've never done any drugs in my life. I've never consumed anything that is not natural. I don't eat meat. It's very spiritual. And actually, even when using the word drug, and when the shaman heard that, he's like, this is not a drug. He corrects you right away. This is plant medicine. And please don't call it a drug because it's not.
Because people compare it to like LSD
mushrooms.
and mushrooms and things like that.
And LSD obviously is not natural. Mushroom is. And, all of this is going to be legitimized soon. I mean, and NYU is running a whole research on hallucinogenics, and ayahuasca is one of them. Mushrooms is part of it. Cannabis is part of it, so but it's all plant medicines really, and how it affects the mind and how it helps you in many ways. And again, there's different strains for everything, just like cannabis, and that affects people differently. For me, my experience was very different, and actually it was very different for me that it was for the other three people that were in the room doing it at the same time.
Is it not weird to be with other people while you're like puking and hallucinating or whatever happens? I would feel like really self-conscious, I think, of stuff. Maybe you forget about all of that when you're on it.
You know what it is though? You wind up, you just don't care because you're in with a group of people. First of all, we became so close with one another. I mean, really, really close, to the point that even last night, one of the people that I went with, I called her, we were talking, and actually we're having a little reunion on Friday, a Zoom call, all of us. The love and compassion that we just have. And just when I think back, but I just want to give you a little bit of, the thing that makes Rhythmia a little different is there's good and bad. I think what Jenny went through is a little more typical in terms of smaller groups, and that works out really well for people having 5, 6, 7 people. Not people. Some people may not want to handle 50, 60, 70 people in a room.
Right.
I didn't have a problem with it though. There were women there who had been raped. One woman, her daughter had been murdered. There's people who were divorced. People that lost jobs, people had health problems, a lot of people trying to figure out what's going on, to heal. But what's interesting is at Rhythmia, the first thing is show me who I am. So you're actually you're asking Mother Ayahuasca, show me who I am, because I want to really know my authentic self. And when you try to go through that first thing, that's when it removes the ego. It removes the ego, and it allows you to see yourself unobstructed without having an altered perspective. But the thing about Rhythmia that's interesting, it's not just ayahuasca, it's a whole integrated program. And what they do is during the morning and evening and afternoon, they have education. They explain to you everything that's going on. They explain what ayahuasca does, that it increases the DMT to the brain. They also explain that ayahuasca is neuroregenerative. It's one of the only things on earth that we know of that actually fixes your brain, which is crazy. But here's the key. This is the key about ayahuasca. If you're going to take anything away from this, take this or the two things I'm going to give you. The first thing is ayahuasca. This is explained by the psychologist who works full time there now, who used to work at Passageways, by the way. It rebalances your chemicals in your brain. So it rebalances your norepinephrine, your serotonin, and your dopamine. And those are pretty much your pleasure chemicals. And what happens is we go through years and years of our amygdala, our limbic system, which the fight or flight system, which just goes berserk, and it's putting out cortisol in your body, stressing you out all the time. And you get in this constant state of stress, and it's just like never ending. And then what it does is this actually rebalances it. It rebalances your brain chemicals to like when you're in a kid. So what happens is people who have issues with anxiety, with depression and addiction, those are the people, and traumas, PTSD. A lot of pilots and military go there, by the way, hint, hint. And so what happens is if you had a previous trauma, which many of us had, it allows you heal. And I went there, didn't expect anything. And at Rhythmia, they say 95% of people come back with a miracle. And I was one of those 95%. I came back with a miracle. And I just wish I could put into words. I was telling you before the call that I literally feel most times of the day like I'm just on Percocet walking around. Nothing bothers me. And you accept everything for what it is because everything's perfect.
How long ago did you go the first time?
I went in November, and I'm going again very, very soon because I want to, it was 4 nights of ayahuasca, 7 nights total. I spoke to several people who passed during my experience.
What do you mean passed? Like died?
Had died. And I know because one of the girls that I spoke to her mother the next day. I told her about the experience, and she asked me what time did this happen? And I told her at 9:30 at night. She said at that exact time, I was having the worst stomach pain I've ever had in my life, and I almost went to the hospital. She almost asked her husband to take her to the hospital. And that's when I knew that was not I was not imagining it, because this was her daughter that I talked to that passed away many, many years ago. And it was something so special. And it made me realize that may have been one of the things I've been searching for my whole life, this particular individual.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And you're similar to you. I went with no expectations, and I had no idea what was going to happen. I knew I needed some clarity in my life. I was going through, the changes of being a single mom and changing careers, all these different, like trying to find clarity for myself. No expectations whatsoever. I do ayahuasca, and it brings up so many, I saw just images and movies, almost like I was trying to explain it to a friend. He's like, "Oh, that's a trip. You were tripping." Is that what it is? I have no idea. But I literally see people that die and experiences that I had when I saw myself as a child, in different stages and very specific moments of my life since I was 5, 6, 7. Moments that hurt me in many ways, so all that sort of was coming through, and my experience lasted a long time. I can tell you I can tell you so much about it, but I think for me, it was good to see this and see myself and be compassionate with myself, with that little kid that I was seeing, this little girl that I was seeing. And I needed to see it because I needed to sort of forgive the people around me that hurt me, or, that needed, that I even saw them dying on this movies that I was seeing, in this bucket when I'm puking, and I see all of it going on.
That's wild. And
Jenny,
when you see yourself, is it like with no emotion attached? You're just kind of like you say you feel compassion for your, younger self, but is there like sadness? Is there happiness? Or it's just kind of like an observer?
I don't know if it was compassion. I think the compassion came later. At the time, I think I was scared.
Oh.
And that's what I said. My experience, unlike Andrew, I was not happy. I'm like, I'm hating this. I was questioning myself. Why did I do this? This is not fun.
Yeah.
I felt that way the first night as well, by the way. I'm like, what the
really?
heck am I doing here? Oh God. I was ready to leave. I was like, I'm outside on one of the hammocks looking at the stars. Like, what the hell am I doing here? But they told us there, they said, you're going to feel uncomfortable. It's not going to feel good. Stick it out, because Mother Aya works her way through you. She works her way to understand you. And there's some pain. Admittedly so, I did not have a lot of baggage, I guess I could say, that I was aware of. But I probably had a lot of baggage I wasn't aware of, though. If that makes sense.
See, that's the difference,
Jenny.
when you go to a resort, because he gets an explanation of what's going to happen. I didn't get anything.
That was one of my questions. Did the shaman explain to you, Jenny, anything that you were probably going to experience? And I guess the answer would be no.
No. No.
It hit you as it came.
No,
it's just
we were just in a room, mind you. Again, we're in the middle of the rainforest. We're in a little cottage, sort of. We had the kids that, first of all, they overheard that we were going to do ayahuasca. The adults were going to do it. So they're like, oh, how they were trying to figure out where we're going to do it. How can they sneak in to see if they can see us?
Oh man.
Again,
so there's
no
that
place
stress.
to hide. Yeah. Right. So I had that going on in my back. Like, what do we do with the kids? So then we get one of the people from the cottage to take them to the lake to fish for piranhas, right? Piranhas.
Oh, piranhas.
That sounds dangerous too.
Let's go fish for piranhas.
But what is the other option? That they're going to be sneaking on us? No. So anyway, so they did take them on a boat. And they're like, please keep him as long as possible. And then they were keeping him on the side. And apparently they caught some piranhas on the river. And then, mind you, there's no electricity. So everything that you hear is like the sounds of the jungle, right? The animals.
Yeah.
And then the shaman is chanting at all times. He brought with him, obviously, at the ayahuasca. And then he's bringing his tools, his music. And he's chanting with, I don't even know what he had, because it was all pitch black. There's no electricity again.
It sounds scary just thinking about it. Like in the middle of the Amazon. Is he dressed up like in any kind of traditional clothing, or he's dressed normal?
He had a normal clothing, and then he put on sort of like a tunic. And he had something on his head as well. And I think he put on some other things, but at this point it's sort of blurred to me because of what happened. But yeah, he didn't explain. I think he might have explained a little bit, but definitely not like Andrew's, where he had a full prep and all that. No, definitely not for us.
Yeah, wow. we had every single day. There was 3 hours of education, psychologists, spiritual people. It's all inclusive, and it's I need to pull up one of the slides to show me who I am. And then at the end, you're basically reborn in a sense. I had an experience which was so mind-boggling, and if I can share it now, or if you, Darren and Jen, if you want, I can wait, but I can tell you what my 4 nights were like. And I wanted more. I didn't.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
So the first night I met my sister that was never born. My mother had to terminate a pregnancy. And
No.
I always knew my whole life that there was something missing. I didn't know what it was. And she came to me, and I was trying not to give too many details, but I'll tell you, it was my mother that, I spoke to the next day.
Mm.
And she was devastated. She had to terminate this pregnancy. She didn't have a choice, but she's been devastated, her whole life. She's thought about it. And I saw her, and she told me, she said, Andrew, I have been watching you all this time since I'm your younger sister. You're my older brother. And
I'm
going to try
getting
not to get
chills as you're saying this, by the way.
I'm going to try not to get too choked up. I was almost killed.
My experience was very similar to yours. I'll tell you mine later, but I'm super interesting.
Wow.
She told me, she said, do you remember that time? And she told me this instance where last year I almost got killed. I came very close to getting killed. And I said to myself at that very moment, I could die right here. And she said, I was there with you. I remember. And she said, it wasn't your time to go yet, but you were very close. And she also said that you're a handful. We have to do extra work to keep you safe. But she told me that had I actually lived, she says, I would have died when I was 16, and you would have taken your life a year later. So what happened of me having to be terminated early was the right thing. The family stayed together. And she said, you have to tell Mom, you have to tell her that she did the right thing, because she's been suffering with this her whole life. And I didn't even know that she was suffering. When I told my mother this, she was in tears. And she said, she said that I almost, and, I decided, I'll tell you the whole story. I decided to tell you, that she was the one that I spoke to, the woman, as I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. She said, I almost went to your father almost took me to the hospital. I had the worst pain I've ever had. It was right at the time I calculated it, because it's an hour difference, that when I started talking to my sister, and she took me with her hand, and she says, I want to show you the good you've done in the world now. And she showed me the people that I've impacted I didn't even think of for years. And she said, your time isn't done here, but she said, I just want you to know that how much I love you. And she says, also make sure you tell Dad how much we had a dog growing up, how much the dog misses him as well. But that night, so when and it was so real. I saw her, and she had a white night dress on, and
was she old hair. Or young, or how old was she?
She was young. She was young. She was young, and she says, I love you so much. And she says, I've been protecting you. I can do a better job up here protecting you than I can if I was on the earth. And she said, had I lived, the whole family would have been devastated. So that was the first night. I felt at that point as well, I was bawling out, crying. Now, most people do vomit, but I never did. I did something else. I was yawning like crazy, and then I was even shaking and shivering.
Huh.
I never vomited, though, which is interesting. I have a very resilient stomach.
So I had a friend of mine that was there with me too. She was yawning the whole time. That was her experience, and she didn't throw up either.
Just yawning.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. Those are ways that you, Jenny, help me. The word, was it expelling? No, what's the word? What's the word they use? Not expelling.
Yeah.
Purging.
Yeah. Same with me. I didn't. And it helps you actually when you throw up or have diarrhea, because it goes both ways, because the experience goes faster. But if you only yawn, it lasts longer, apparently. So you're one of them.
Oh, because you keep it in your body longer.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
It was just surreal. So the second night was weird. It was a different type of ayahuasca, because we did 3 types of ayahuasca over 4 nights. And by the way,
how do you know there were multiple types?
They told us the first and third are the same. The second and fourth are different. So the second night was it was more dark. I saw, literally, I looked up and I got a little freaked out. I saw it looked like a spirit just going across the room really fast. I was like,
I did
wow, what the heck was that?
I did too.
I looked around.
That's scary.
And then I started seeing like these spirits next to people walking around as well. Like I saw like something above them or around them or something. I was like, oh man, because you feel like you're drunk in a way. But if you want to get out of it, you just get up, you go to the bathroom, you're fine. So you're not like forced to stay in this mode. Second night was a little darker. I was brought around to show some things I'd done in my life. Nothing too bad. I maybe I squashed a couple grasshoppers. I don't know. But then the third night was crazy.
Wait, I have a question.
Third night.
Before you get to the third night,
Yeah.
Jenny,
Yeah.
how long ago was this for you?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So you both sound like you believe that you really saw something real, that you were not hallucinating. But did you begin to question that as time went on?
Here's Debbie Downer. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Whether I saw something or not.
Right.
No, I never questioned it. I didn't see it in just one place. Like Andrew, I saw it floating in front of me.
And it wasn't scary?
I was in pain. At that time, it was not scary. And wow. I saw it floating. And then when I was trying to throw up, because I thought that was going to help me, and I couldn't, but I was trying. So I had the bucket in front of me, and then in the bucket, I will see other images as well, just like going in circles. And I will see those images of just people in my past, and just some of them were like evil and just faces that you see and going in circles, and they were right on that bucket. But I also saw them on the floor.
Scary. I think what happens, it sounds like, because it kind of removes that
filter,
human nature. Yeah. That our instinct to kind of say, that's not real, I'm hallucinating, whatever. And like really just open your mind to the experience, that you're not really questioning what you see. You're just accepting it.
And remember, there's a lot of things going on also in your body, right? Like you might have pain, you might be yawning, you might be trying to throw up, you might have for me it was diarrhea, but it didn't come right away, it was much later. So there's all this going on, and then all those the memories, those movies that are going on, or the conversations that you're having with people that you like Andrew is discussing. I can tell you my story later too, but I had a similar circumstance, similar event. To all of this is going on. So why would you question something when this is so real?
Okay. Yeah. So Andrew, keep going with your story.
Day 3.
Okay. So day 3, and I'll tell you, the first night I wanted to leave because it was just a weird feeling. I'm thinking, what am I really getting out of this? What on earth is happening? Here's the thing. That was the ego telling me, I know better. I don't want to lose control. I know better. I'm not going to let something like this. This is silly. What are all these people in these beds? And it looks like a cult.
It
really did.
That's true. Yeah.
It felt like I was like in a cult or something but whatever. So I'm thinking, okay, where's David Koresh here? But anyway, so I stuck. But they warned us. They said it's gonna feel weird. It's gonna feel out of your zone. One guy did leave. There was like 30 of us there. So the third night, this is when everything changed. Within about an hour, I just started feeling the purest love I have ever felt in my life. It was hit, and then I was seeing lights. It was like I was in a light show as well, seeing all these different colors of lights all over the place. It was something like just surreal, and I was shaking, I was yawning, and I was just laughing with ecstasy. And I said, these mofos must have spiked this, because I can't be feeling what I'm feeling now. Because look, I've had Percocet, and I love the feeling of Percocet. Thank God I don't have addictive personality, but I felt amazing. So there was a girl next to me who I became really close with. And I said to her, I said, hey, I said, do you feel like you're like tripping on something? She's like, no, I don't feel anything. Remember that. Remember this, what I said? She says, I don't feel anything. I let go completely on that Wednesday night. For 3-4 hours, I was like in a dance club in my head. And I just saw it literally like Lady Gaga was and Madonna and
you had your own rock concert.
I couldn't get over the feeling, but I felt pure love that I've never felt quite like that in my life. Where was
the love coming from? Is it like from the universe? Is it
it was the lights were coming down, And I said, I can't be feeling this right now. I said, I have to be on a drug. This just doesn't, you can't feel this good. You can't feel this good. And so what I found, I talked to the psychologist that was there, and there's a word they use for it. I can't remember what it's called. Jen, maybe you'll remember. But when you see all the lights, that's the ayahuasca rebalancing the chemicals in your brain because you're out of balance. Okay.
Oh,
And Darren, you
interesting.
asked a question. You asked a question, which I'm going to answer now. Was it real? For years, I've had mild anxiety, not bad, just I've never enjoyed a vacation fully. I've never, anything good. I just always find like when's the next shoe going to drop? And when I came back, it just went away completely. And
Mm.
that's how I know it's real. You can't make this stuff up.
It's
And you
changed like
can't make,
your view of life and
Yeah.
your attitude towards
And
it. It sounds like
it wasn't the feelings that I'm asking about. It's the visions, really.
yes. So I'm going to get to the fourth night. So the third night, that was beyond crazy. I got up. I was just, so after I got a second cup of ayahuasca because they asked
sounds
me to
like
try
you
to
were
drink your
tripping on
second.
Molly, like with the lights and the whole thing.
You know what? I've never done a drug, but I thought I was on ecstasy or something. And that's actually what I said. I said, okay, they probably, someone has a dropper, they put ecstasy in it or something because you can't feel this good. You can't.
Right.
So fourth night comes, and I didn't want to go the fourth night because I felt so good already. I'm walking around the resort talking to everybody. I'm on cloud nine. I mean, I couldn't care less if you cut my hand off at that point. I just felt so good. Everything was perfect. I didn't care if the stock market went down. I was actually dating someone at the time, and I didn't even care about the relationship whatsoever. I was like, yeah, whatever. Because I was
Wow.
focusing on me. I was focusing on me. I mean, I didn't care of the outcome. I knew that whatever was going to happen was going to happen. I didn't worry myself. That was the difference. I cared, but I wasn't invested in worrying about the outcome. So fourth night comes, and the fourth night was the most powerful ayahuasca. And they even tell you once you do the ayahuasca, put some water in your mouth and spit it out because it's really strong stuff.
Mm.
So the fourth night is when you got to make an affirmation, and mine was to live in the present because I was never doing that. I was always looking at tomorrow. It's like, well, what about now? Well, what about tomorrow? What about now? And I just would never, ever really appreciate the moment, which means I wouldn't appreciate people, which means it's anxiety. So mine was to live in the present, and at Rhythmia, they had all the girls in a prayer circle and the shamans, and there's actually a very famous one at Rhythmia. His name is Mitra Polito or Politi. He's the spiritual leader, and he was there the fourth night. The coolest guy in the world, very well known throughout the world. In fact, he just wrote a book as well. So we went into a prayer circle. And I was praying, please let me be in the present and please reveal to me what I need to know about why I'm here. Because that was an important thing. Why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I just started bawling out, crying. I didn't know why. And they weren't at me yet. They're at some of the other people doing prayers. And I look up, and I am not exaggerating. I look up and I see a mountain with some fog over it. And then someone starts talking to me. I was like, okay, what is this? And it's like, my son, I have brought you here for reasons other than you'll understand. I had to find a reason to get you here. I said, why am I here? This is a colony of angels, and I have brought you here so that you can spread my light into the world. Spread light where there's darkness. I was like, hold on a second here. what did I sign up for? And it's like, you have to spread light where there's darkness. And I needed you to feel my love. On the first night, I needed to show you who has passed and who has helped you. On the second night, I needed to show you what not to do. On the third night, and by the way, the third night that I was tripping on what I thought was LSD or whatever it was, they brought me around and showed me all the people that I had touched in my life. They showed me a little bit on the first night, but on the third night, they brought me around like it was like a chariot. And my sister was on it as well. And she's like, come on, let me show you some things. And she's really goofy, just like I am. And so, and then the fourth night, Oh, and he said, I needed you to then on the third night feel my love. I wanted you to feel and know my love. And now that you know what my love is, I need you to spread that same love into the world. I was like, I am floored.
Wow.
And I was crying uncontrollably like a little girl or a little boy.
Do you
And it
feel
was
like this was
so
like that was like God speaking to you, or it was just like a higher
absolutely,
being?
absolutely. Whatever it was. I mean, look, we as humans have this need to humanize and objectify, any experience, and
Higher
we
being.
call,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly, Jen. And we call God a man or whatever. Look, God, I believe, is in all of us. He's energy. This was so powerful that whenever I talk to someone now, whenever I talk to someone, and as someone that I'm even having problems with, whatever, I always say to myself, I love you inside of me. I love you. Not, not romantically, platonically, because in the end of the day, we are all connected. And that's what I realized at Rhythmia. We are connected.
Yep.
Your happiness is just as important as my happiness. And I've always felt that way through studying Buddhism over the years, but this really amplified it. And I had been helping a few people who were there. One girl specifically I got very close to. She was having a lot of problems, and she really felt almost nothing while she was there because she was trying to control the situation. She wasn't allowing it to happen. She was trying to dictate an outcome. It's like, you can't dictate an outcome here. You, excuse me, you have to let it happen and let go. And before I
Right,
forget,
Darren, let it happen. Let it
you
go.
have to let it go. You
I
can't.
hear you, Jen.
It's, you know what they say? I believe this my whole life. You gain the most control in life when you relinquish control. And that's what I found at Rhythmia. You have to relinquish control and just give it up and just believe. The most control you'll have is when you just release control. And that's what I learned here. Darren, those were real things that I saw. They weren't fake. My mom verifying right at 9:30 at night, 8:30 Liberia time, that she said I had the most intense pain I've ever had in my life. I was about to go to the emergency room. And it was exactly within a few minutes of when I know I started seeing her and talking to her. And she was in tears, crying. And she said, did she have long black hair? Yeah, she did actually. She's like, I knew it. It was a girl. Yes, it was a girl.
Wow.
And I think that my sister was so adamant. She said it like 30 times. She says, make sure you tell mom, make sure you tell mom, please, you're not going to forget. You're not going to forget. Please tell her. Please tell her. I said, I promise I won't forget. And she was doing just like me. I'm the same way.
Wow.
So it was
I mean,
surreal.
that's whether you feel like it's something your brain concocted or it was an actual experience. I think it's still transformative just because you're
for the individual, right?
Yeah, for the individual.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that the shaman said, actually. The little preparation, like day one is when you come with no expectations. It's really more because it's one of those things that that to sort of unsettle those moments that change your life, right? So for you, Andrew, could be, I don't know, the death of your sister, or we don't know. Sometimes somebody just says a word and that changes the perspective that we're going to have for the rest of our lives. We all have those episodes at certain periods of our life. And it affects everybody differently. So the idea is that the first day is just like discovering what this is, whatever it is that is torturing you, then good or bad. And the second day or third and fourth, you can come with more an intention. Okay, I got all that out of the way. I got this. This is what the universe or the higher spirit, somebody was telling me this. I discovered this. With me, the first thing that I was thinking about when you were telling the story about your sister is I was sexually molested when I was a child by this man that he was the owner of the bakery. And as a kid, I needed one of my chores as a kid. I needed to go and get bread every day. and he will wait for me to come, sit me on his lap, and then touch me, right? Gone. This happened to me. This old man. So
at the time, did you know that it was inappropriate or wrong, or you didn't really know?
Yes, of course I knew, but I was so scared. I knew it was wrong. I was a little kid. I didn't know what to say. I knew it was wrong, and I would cry every time I needed to go there. And I'll say to my grandparents at the time, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. So they will send me even more because they thought I was just being naughty, right? Like, why you don't want to go? You want to go. You have to go. And he will just do it again and again. And I'm like, cry every time. And so I saw this man. And now this happened, God, how many years ago, right? Over 30 something, 40 years ago. No, not that many, but anyway, a long time ago.
20 years ago, Jen. 20 years ago.
He came, he was there. And in this picture, this movie, I saw him and we find out that he died. And then the rumor on the street that all the neighbors, my grandparents, the adults knew that El Señor Lache, that was his name, that he died. And I remember I saw myself as a little kid, a little girl, laughing in a room. And I was so grateful that this man finally died, because this is the one secret that I had. And I was so ashamed for it. Mind you, as a kid, I'm the kid. I did nothing wrong, but I was so ashamed for what he was doing to me. And I saw all of this happening. The funeral. I saw his funeral. I saw him dead. I saw him dying. I saw the people mourning him. And
it was almost like you were releasing him out of your system.
Out of my system completely.
Wow.
But he was there, and and even all the people that I was, as a kid, I'm like, you guys are crying for this monster. And, all of this was going through my head, and like, you don't realize that this what he did to me, probably to a bunch of other kids. I can guarantee you that I was not the only one. But he came through. And
was that like the majority of your first day was kind of working through that?
A lot of that. Wow. A lot of that. That was a big part of it. That was a huge part of it. I didn't know how much it affected me.
Did he speak or just vision?
It was just a vision. He didn't speak at all.
Because it was like looking at the past, right? Kind of like
it was
reliving the things you experienced, which is like almost traumatic in and of itself, having to go through.
Mind you, I never saw him dead. I never went to his funeral or anything, but I did it this time. I saw it. I was there and I saw him dead. and
you saw yourself happy as a kid about it.
And I saw myself happy. Yes.
Yeah.
Jen, I'm looking at you ask all these questions, and I'm thinking of myself, and I'm thinking Jen would do so much better than me.
You never know. I may suck at it.
I'd be so scared. I'd be like, get me out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I'm most afraid of is, are there experiences in my past that I have forgotten that ayahuasca
That's exactly it.
Yeah. That I don't even remember anymore. And then I'm like,
right. But it's exactly that, right? Those experiences that you might have forgotten, but are shaping who you are right now, good or bad. Again, it might be, and if it's good, fine, but I think Andrew had a really good experience because he was laughing and he was enlightened. So maybe it's releasing something that is bringing something positive on you, and that's fine.
Yeah. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. For many people. For me, it wasn't too bad, but there's a lot of, and Jenny, I heard your experience, and these things, Jen, they need to come out because you deal with them, you process them, and then you move on. And that's the big thing. Now there's something else, Jenny, let me know if you felt this as well. Since I've gotten back, you just start making connections. You start having realizations. You become much more sensitive You become much more sensitive to connections. You kind of do things without really worrying about what the outcome's going to be, because you just trust they're going to work out. And you get guidance. You start getting guidance. You can feel things about people. You remove blocks from within you. You start understanding your purpose. And then if there's like this thing that was missing inside of you, it gets filled. And you just do instead of thinking what to do. There's in
You
Rhythmia,
trust the process, or trust life,
because
I
you know what,
guess.
Jen,
Yeah.
you know that everything's perfect. There was someone who I went to Rhythmia. I met her there. She was a doctor, and she said that she went right before Rhythmia closed, right before COVID started. And when she left, she was in the hospital. She said she was in bliss. All people dying. She said, doesn't matter. Life's still perfect. Everything's perfect. And she had so much energy. I've had people comment like, since you came back, you just are nonstop. Like you have so much energy, vitality. I'm doing like 30 projects, and I never get stressed, and everything just seems perfect around me. Like nothing. I remember one day, about a week ago, it was really rainy, windy, and someone's like, "Oh, the weather's miserable." I was like, "No, it's beautiful." What do you mean? It's beautiful. Look
A
at
different
those
like
trees.
perspective on
Yeah. That's an
things. Yeah.
external thing. That's an external thing. That doesn't, the fact that the wind's blowing is not going to change the way I look at myself. It's not, there's beauty everywhere. You choose your reaction to everything, and you choose how you interact with people. And you also, and here's something else that's interesting. The human is made with happiness, and sometimes people say, "Oh, please take my sadness away." There's nothing to take away. Sadness is something, or rather, please give me my happiness. No, the happiness is in you. You chose to be sad about something. You chose to, sadness is not a regular state. It's something that we choose because we start focusing on something unhealthy, whether it's something in the mind or something external. We are happy by default. We had to add something in to get sad.
Yep.
And I think ayahuasca took that away from me. It took that sadness, which I have sometimes, not often, but the anxiety as well, about fearful that something's going to happen. And here's something, Darren will know this. I got out of a relationship 4 weeks after, 3 weeks after I got back from a little bit after, well, yeah, about 4 weeks after I got back, I got out of a relationship, and it took me 2 days to get past it. That was it. And after 2 days, I was completely back to normal. And one of my friends remarked, "Wow, you're doing really good. That's not like you." I said, "You know what? This is what's meant to be." And why lament over something that I know shouldn't be, it was not meant to be. But there's one other thing which is super important, which they taught at Rhythmia. Rhythmia and ayahuasca teach you to make healthy boundaries. And I started cutting some people out of my life who were very toxic to me. And I started, and one of them was who I broke up with. I said, this, I'm sorry, but this is not acceptable to me. I can't, this is not the way I live my life. And you have the courage to do what you know is right for you. And you don't have the fear anymore, because you know what you're supposed to be doing, and you follow it. And you know that if you follow it, you're going to be okay.
So I have some, I guess, more tactical questions about ayahuasca. One of them is cost. I'm curious to know, like, Jenny, what was the cost for the Peruvian shaman experience versus, Rhythmia in Costa Rica? And I don't even know how much it cost or anything like that. Do you guys remember?
Yeah. So yeah, I remember mine was not that much at all, because I did that, and that was part of a bigger trip with friends and family. But I guess it will cost you the airfare going there.
The vaccinations for yellow fever,
vaccinations, which it was, hey, yeah, you're going anywhere. And when I went to South Africa, the same thing. I had to take malaria shots and a bunch of other things. And now everybody's going to have to take COVID shot if you want to travel outside. So it's just going to become another thing. But I think the shaman was like maybe $300.
And it was for 2 days in the rainforest?
exactly. And then I had to pay separately for the cabin, and the cabin was maybe, if I tell you, maybe $300 for 5-6 days. That's a lot. It was not much at all.
And how does that compare with Rhythmia? Do they have like different packages, or is it like one price for 5 days? Or
So from my recollection, I wound up getting my own private room. Most of the rooms are not private. They have 3, 2, and 1 person rooms. When I went, they had an interesting thing for the guys. It was about 4,500, I believe, for a private room with a shared bathroom, and there was like 5,500 for a private room with a private bathroom. A two bedroom room, I think, was the same. It's like 4,500 or something, and then they have 1 3-bedroom room, and I think that's 3,000 and change. I don't remember. I think 3,500. That's for the resort. It's the full week. And very nice accommodations, all meals included, although you don't eat at night for obvious reasons. The plant medicine is, I think, $400. And then, there's direct airfare, there's direct flights out there. The transportation, you can either take an Uber, or if you take the shuttle, it's about $180 or so. You also get a massage, and they actually do colonic cleanses as well.
oh man, they cleanse your brain, your colon, and everything.
Everything. And the food is all
I'll pass on that
organic.
one. No, you won't,
it's
Darren.
actually,
Stop.
it actually goes and cleans up into your intestines, supposedly allows you to really absorb the nutrients. So what you're doing is, so Rhythmia, you have the education, you have it 3 hours a day roughly. You have breath work at night, and it's kind of like holotropic breathing. They do a type of breathing which is similar. People get the same results as ayahuasca, because what it's doing is it's allowing DMT to go into your brain. And a lot of people have these breakthroughs doing the breathing and not even the ayahuasca, but the combination of these 3 together, doing the breath work, the ayahuasca, and the education, they're all extremely critical. There's a 95% miracle rate leaving Rhythmia. 95% of people say they had a miracle. And I was one of them. And I was skeptic. Darren, you know me. I'm a skeptic by nature.
You and me both.
Show me. And
prove
actually,
it
it was
to
really
me.
cool.
Right.
There was a girl that was there with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend was like, "I really don't want to be here." Can you hear me?
What was that? I heard a voice coming out of. Was that Pat?
Oh,
it might have been Pat, but I'm not sure.
I heard a man's voice.
Yeah.
I take a question.
I guess I woke up.
There you are.
So this guy was there with his girlfriend. He didn't want to be there. Because she dragged him along. And by the end of it, he's like, "I'm so happy I went. I can't believe it." And she's like, "I think he has a man crush on you." But it was funny because he went in and didn't even want to be there. And when he left, he was a different person. He was changed because he didn't even want to go there.
Huh.
So yeah.
What were you going to ask,
Yeah.
Pat?
No. I didn't think my mic was on, actually.
Oh,
I try to mute him when I am talking,
Yeah,
because there's
most
too
of
much
the time.
echo. There's too much echo in this room.
I had one more question about the process. So when you drink or eat ayahuasca, I think it's drinking, right? It's like a tea. About how long does it take before it kicks in? And then how long do you kind of stay in that
Hi.
altered state? It's not a drug, Darren.
No, it's not a drug. So first of all, let me add to your last question about the fees that we pay for the cottage where we stayed. That included all the meals as well.
Oh.
And all the meals, by that I mean like food that was, they have the chickens running around.
Oh, they have to go like
everything that they have they cage, not to completely cage, but they have chickens there for consumption. And then all the fruits and vegetables, those all organics, picked up from fresh from the ground. So you have amazing fresh fruit made every day.
Huh.
And that's all part of the deal as well.
Guys, we're actually out of time. We're at 8:30, and we're gonna get cut off at 8:30. We need to have you both back.
It's so fascinating. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing. I know it's something that's on my list to do, and whether it's with a shaman in the rainforest in Peru or in Costa Rica, in Rhythmia, I think it's something that it's worth trying. They say when you're ready. I always wonder, like, when do you know when you're ready?
Jen, you're
but I
ready.
guess you know. Am I ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you both for joining us. It's been a great pleasure, and we're going to have you back another time to talk more because we didn't get into this as far as we needed to.
Yeah, we have many more questions.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Good night.